Jacine, check your audio, your microphone. Want to make sure you're working.
I'm on an iPad. Does this work? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, David. And David, you can turn off your can you turn off your video? Not cover it. Thank you. JC, are you there? Jacine?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I'm going to put you on mute until the meeting start. Council is still in closed
All right.
session.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
no problem. Nat Bates, I'm trying to bring you in. Nat Bates, I'm trying to bring you in. Look for the dialog box on your screen.
Madam Clerk, if you count Jacine, we've got 4. Does that give us a quorum or for the Housing Authority meeting?
I think we need,
Do we need 5,
yes, I think we need 5.
including her? Okay. Uh, So I'll need one more council member to start the meeting.
1, 2, 3. Here we go.
Okay, I see Nat there. So good evening, everyone. We are starting tonight's meeting with a special meeting of the Richmond Housing Authority. Would you call the roll, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Commissioner Bates,
Present.
Commissioner Jimenez. Commissioner Jimenez. is absent. Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Vice Chair Martinez. Vice Chair Martinez is absent. Commissioner McLaughlin. Commissioner McLaughlin is absent. Commissioner Willis.
Here, I may have to turn off my camera because I'm getting a lot of lag.
Okay. Lieutenant Commissioner Scott
Present.
and Chair Butt.
Yes, here. Okay, would you do the public comment instructional video, please?
Due to COVID-19, this meeting will be conducted via Zoom pursuant to the provisions of the Governor's Urgency Measure Assembly Bill 361, which suspends certain requirements of the Brown Act. The mayor will call upon council members, staff, and other guest speakers by name. Please speak clearly and state your name before giving comments or remarks. Council members, staff, and guest speakers participating via Zoom with their cameras enabled are reminded that their activities are visible to viewers. Community members participating via Zoom wishing to speak should use the raised hand feature or dial *9 if participating via phone, and the mayor or city clerk will call upon them at the appropriate time. Community members will have up to 2 minutes to speak, 3 minutes for public hearings. After the speaker's time expires, staff will lower their hand and mute their mic. Community members participating via phone will be called upon to speak by the last 4 digits of their phone number. Public input and participation are of the utmost importance to the City of Richmond City Council. Therefore, it is important for public speakers to be ready to address the council when called upon. Public speakers are requested to state their names and city of residence, but providing such information is voluntary. Written public comments received before and during the meeting in accordance with the COVID-19 public comment guidelines printed on the meeting agenda will be entered into the record and published at the clerk's office webpage. If authors of written correspondence would also like to speak on the item, they should raise their hand when prompted by the mayor, and the city clerk will call upon them at the appropriate time. A roll call vote will be taken for all action items. The meeting can be seen on KCRT's TV channel and is being streamed on Zoom, YouTube, and kcrt.com. Thank you for participating in a meeting of the City of Richmond City Council.
Debido a COVID-19, esta reunión se llevará a cabo a través de Zoom en conformidad con las provisiones de la medida de urgencia del gobernador de la Ley de la Asamblea 361, que suspende ciertos requisitos de la Ley Brown. El alcalde llamará a los concejales, a los empleados de la ciudad y a otros invitados a hablar por nombre. Por favor, hable claramente y diga su nombre antes de dar su comentario. Se recuerda a los concejales, empleados de la ciudad y otros invitados participando a través de Zoom con sus cámaras encendidas que sus actividades son visibles al público. Miembros de la comunidad participando a través de Zoom que deseen hablar deberían de usar la función levantar la mano, en inglés raise hand, o marcar *9 si están participando por teléfono. El alcalde y la secretaria municipal llamarán a los oradores en el momento apropiado. Miembros de la comunidad tendrán hasta 2 minutos para hablar y 3 minutos para temas de audiencias públicas. Después de que se expire el tiempo de orador, se le bajará la mano y el micrófono será silenciado. Miembros de la comunidad participando por teléfono serán llamados para su turno usando los últimos 4 dígitos de su número de teléfono. Los comentarios y la participación del público son de suma importancia para el Consejo Municipal. Por lo tanto, es importante que los oradores públicos estén listos para dar sus comentarios al Consejo Municipal cuando sean llamados. Se pide que los oradores públicos indiquen sus nombres y ciudad de residencia, pero proveer dicha información es voluntario. Comentarios escritos recibidos antes y durante la reunión, de acuerdo con las reglas designadas para comentario público durante el COVID-19, imprimidos en la agenda de la reunión, serán ingresados en el registro y se publicarán en la página web de la Secretaría Municipal. Si los autores de la correspondencia escrita también desean hablar sobre el tema, deberían levantar la mano cuando sea pedido por el alcalde, y la Secretaría Municipal los llamará en el momento apropiado. Se realizará una votación nominal para todos los puntos de acción. La reunión se podrá ver en el canal de televisión de KCRT y también se transmitirá en Zoom, YouTube y kcrt.com. Gracias por participar en una reunión de Consejo Municipal de la ciudad de Richmond.
Okay, thank you. Next item is statement of conflict of interest. Does anybody have one? I don't see any. The next item is agenda review. We have 2 items on the consent calendar. Does anybody want to pull either one of them? I'm sorry. Did we have
Madam Chair,
public comment? I'm sorry. We somehow skipped public comment. So, Madam Clerk, do you have anybody signed up?
not for the Housing Authority.
Okay, thank you. Agenda review. Does anybody want to take anything off the agenda? Off the consent calendar? Apparently not. So with that, we'll move to the consent
Mr.
calendar.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my computer right now. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. We're on the Housing Authority agenda.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Okay, so we have 2 items on the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve?
There we go.
I'll move the consent calendar.
Okay. motion by Johnson,
And I-
second
And
by,
I'll send it.
I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Scott. So call the roll, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Bates,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Yes.
Vice Chair Martinez,
Yes.
Lieutenant Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
and Chair Bud.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous.
So the Housing Authority meeting is adjourned and we are convening the regular meeting of the Richmond City Council. Would you call roll, please?
Yes. Councilmember Bates? Councilmember,
Yes.
okay. Councilmember Jimenez,
Presente.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Here.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Here.
Councilmember Willis,
Here.
Mayor Butt.
Here.
Okay.
The next item is statement of conflict of interest. Does anybody have one to declare? I don't see anybody. Next item is agenda review. I'm removing 3 items from the consent calendar. U.3.A, noise issues coming from Port Industries. U.4.A, 2-month extension of rebuilding together East Bay North SOS contract. And finally, item U.8.B, approval of the expenditures associated with the 2022-2025 California Violence Intervention and Prevention CalVIP Grant Award. Does anybody have any other changes to the agenda, Madam Clerk?
Yes, there's a request from the public to remove item U.9.B and U.9.E.
9.B. Okay, got it. Okay, got it.
And Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I just would like to remove from the agenda altogether for this meeting, the the report from the Reimagining Task Force, because they are working on a more comprehensive report for the next time they come up. So there will not be a report from the Reimagining Task Force at this meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any other changes to the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to,
Excuse me, Mayor, can we clarify which items have been removed?
she removed U.9.B
Uh-huh.
and U.9.C.
No, new U.9.E. E. So I have U.3.A.
Oh, wait a minute, you're talking about Councilmember
McLaughlin.
Buckland? She totally removed the item S as in Sierra, report from the Reimagining Task Force.
Okay, so I'm going to go over what was removed under agenda review.
Yes.
So can I just do a summary of what you have stated and what I've stated?
The next item would be a report from the city attorney.
No, I
No,
think
I
you.
want to clarify.
This clerk needs to clarify, Mr. Mayor, because I think you got one of them wrong.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so U.3.A, U.4.A, U.8.B, U.9.B, and U.9.E.
That's what I said, yeah.
No, you said it's point E, the last one.
Well, I said C, so we're all in agreement. Okay, next item would be report from the city attorney.
Yes, on the closed session agenda, we had a number of items. So C.1 is the evaluation of city attorney. That was discussed and there was no reportable action taken. C2 is the Winehaven, Giddyville, and North Coast Brewers Alliance litigation matters. We gave a status report and no reportable action was taken. With regards to C.3, which was Terminal 1, direction was given to the negotiator for further negotiations. Concerning the Nevin Plaza item, that was discussed and deferred for further action and no reportable action was taken. The item involving the Richmond Bay Marina There was no action in closed session, and the item is on for public action tonight. The item involving Miraflores was discussed. There was no reportable action taken. It will be back on a future agenda. And two more matters. The anticipated litigation in one case was discussed. No reportable action was taken. And the last item were the negotiations with the various bargaining units. Those were discussed and direction was given to the negotiators for further negotiations, and there was no reportable action taken. So that's the closed session agenda.
Okay, the next item is reports from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor Budd and members of the City Council. Good evening. I would like to remind the community that the City of Richmond is working on the housing element. This is the 6th cycle. It's now open for public review, and we would like your input. The draft is now available online from the city's website. The city welcomes public comments on the draft from the community and interested parties. As a reminder, the public comment period for the draft commenced on October 21st and ends on November 21st. If you would like to view the housing element and submit a comment, feel free to call 510-620-6706. Again, 510-620-6706. Also, as a reminder, the city has adult fitness programs. So there are more options than just Planet Fitness. Although we're happy to have Planet Fitness, we have an even better deal for you here at the City of Richmond. You can come work out for $5 a month. For a month for residents, it's $5 a month for monthly fitness at our community Richmond complex and also at Shields Reed. If you're interested and would like to enroll, please call 510-620-6793. Again, 510-620-6793. Enroll today and take steps towards a happier and healthier year as we prepare for 2023. Again, this information is always in the city manager weekly report. If you would like to access the information electronically and or submit comments and review materials online, feel free to do so. Thank you and have a good evening.
Next item is open forum for public comment. Madam Clerk, please call the speakers.
I have 2 speakers at the moment, and may I remind the speakers to keep their comments respectful, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. I have Mark Wasberg and Jesse Turan. Mark Wasberg, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, our civil life is getting more corrupt every day. Law enforcement's getting corrupt. Our lawmakers are getting corrupt. Every time you read in the paper, you always hear about all these cops, our politicians are doing wrongdoing. Your police chief has a restraining order on her. She was out there threatening the pimp's life just because her daughter was out there hoeing out on the street. And that stupid mayor you guys say, oh, she's just a nice person. How can she be a nice person when she was going out and threatening people's lives? And even the court is breaking the law because they're letting her have a weapon, because when you have a restraining order, you cannot have a weapon. And she has to obey the law like everybody else. She has a higher standard of living. She's a role model for people. And not one peep from you people or anybody out there saying that your police chief ain't nothing but a criminal. This is the most stupidest thing I ever seen in my entire life. Not one peep about anything. If I was the mayor, I would have shit-canned her ass in a heartbeat. And you people just sit there and let these people be criminals. But if the average police officer did that, oh, he'd be out the gate. He'd be fired. Now, how in the hell you think I'm gonna respect this government we have here in Richmond when you have a corrupt fucking police chief, you got a corrupt city council who don't care about our fucking laws, and you ain't but a two-faced, no good son of a bitch. That's all you fucking are. You said we have the constitutional right to speak, and yet when I talk about the election, oh no, you can't say that. I'm gonna go up to the office and I'm gonna find out some type of law that stops us for us speaking our piece. You talk about the First Amendment, then you fucking stab us in the back about the First Amendment, you son of a bitch. That's what you are, a fucking punk. That's right. You was on that city council for 27 years.
Next speaker is Jesse Teran. Jesse, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Hi, my name is Jessie Turan, and I am a Richmond resident and former resident of the Ryden Road encampment. I would like to mention that since the evictions that happened on November 1st, around there, or October 1st, rather, not a single Ryden Road resident has been housed. You evicted everyone, and you took millions of dollars from the state and federal government to find solutions to the housing crisis, and you made the situation worse. You made it worse. You didn't help anyone. Instead, you took them from a place where they had created some sort of stability, some sort of community for themselves, and you destroyed their houses and you put them out onto the street. People who were living safely in RVs are now living under freeway overpasses. You are always wondering about where will the money come from? Well, Richmond passed several taxes in previous years. Nobody's mentioning any of that money. Measure U was passed a few years ago, and that money was supposed to go to causes to help the homeless. And instead, it's just sort of disappeared. We never hear anything about it. You can't just evict people without giving them a place to go. What about the cities next to Richmond? Just making homelessness illegal in Richmond, all that does is it makes the residents of Richmond other people's problems. You need to take responsibility. You need to take responsibility.
Time has expired. Thank you. The next speaker is Eli Moore, and after that, it is Deborah Small and Leah Murray. Eli Moore, you can go ahead and start.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, council, mayor, community members, city staff. I wanted to put forward the issue that really, I think, came to the front of my mind with the recent attack on Nancy Pelosi's home and the assault on Paul Pelosi. And the issue is the polarization, the political polarization, and the political violence that is increasing in this country. And I think that city leaders, city staff, and everybody needs to take this more seriously. In particular, I think the way that the mayor has a habit of sending out home addresses of his, the people he doesn't politically agree with, and practices like that, as well as the kind of exaggerated, polarizing claims that were involved in this last election, that stir up sense of fear, sense of insecurity. And it's clear, even just from the speaker at the beginning of this public comment period, we have a good number of pretty off the rails, deranged people in Richmond. And the individual who attacked the Pelosi's was actually living in Richmond. And I'm not sure we're really operating in the current context fully aware of what's going on. And so I just want to put this issue out there. I think that as a city, as a community, we need to be cognizant of some of these dynamics and make sure that everybody is safe in their engagement in politics and their engagement in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Deborah Small. Deborah, you can go ahead and start.
Yes, good evening. This is Deborah Small. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can go ahead and start.
Thank you. So I'm Deborah Small. I'm a Richmond resident. I just want to kind of follow up and piggyback on the comments that were previously made by Eli and point to the fact that at the beginning of each public comment period, the city staff asks people to keep their comments respectful. Mark Wasberg regularly ignores that. However, I noticed that during the 2.5 to 3 months that he was running for mayor, he showed himself perfectly capable of being able to give public comments without cursing and engaging in racially derogatory and gender defamatory remarks. So we know he's actually capable of exercising that level of restraint. So I am a request that city staff and city officials do not continue to allow this type of disrespectful, shaming, awful, hateful language to continue to be spouted during city council meetings. These are public meetings. They're on the airwaves. There are children who are tuning in and listening, and I think that they deserve better. I yield my time.
Thank you. Next speaker is Leah Murray, and following that is Tiffany Powell. Leah Murray, you can go ahead and start.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Leah Murray, and I'm the co-director of Collaborizing. And I wanted to address some of the things that were said by a speaker regarding Ryden Road. I am no longer directly affiliated with the transition of Ryden Road, so I feel a little bit more free to speak on some of the events that occurred. You have people like Jesse who have received services, who is currently in a motel that we advocated, and Jesse was a part of the advocating for the city to provide funding for residents of Ryden Road. I would say that those members, those former Ryden resident members that participated in their transition plans and worked with staff as well as service providers are way more successful than those that didn't. I can tell you that the process was a very difficult process. We were under major time constraints. However, given these circumstances, I believe the city and the service providers did the best work they could possibly do. The city actively engaged our organization to provide follow-up services. We went to Delta Landing where some of the residents were. We provided follow-up and gift cards. We went to Martinez where one of the residents was, and we checked up on a resident with severe mental health issues. So what has been portrayed as the city has done nothing and service providers have done nothing is very, very, very inaccurate. And from now on, you will be hearing from me, and I will be directly speaking to this misinformation. So was the process perfect? Certainly not. Did we do our best? Yes, we did. And again, those who participate with service providers in the city are most successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Tiffany Powell. Tiffany, you can go ahead and start.
Hello, guys. So I am calling on behalf of SOS Streets team in Richmond, and I'm asking if you guys can consider to renew the contract. I believe SOS has done an exceptionally great job of, helping the unhoused population maintain a job and, mental stability, as well as a lot of other great things. And so, it's just been a great resource for Richmond to have. And I think it will really benefit Richmond in the long run, especially, if we can keep the program operating and get some more encampments involved and just really kind of be a pillar for the city of Richmond unhoused population. We've had a lot of success with SOS and the services and supportive services that people have received. And so I just came on here today to say that, SOS has done a great job in kind of rehabilitating the unhoused population. And I would love to continue to work with SOS and work with Richmond and help some of our people, maintain independency and sustain recovery and just rehabilitation and, amongst the other good things. But yeah, so that's it.
Thank you. And that was the last public speaker.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the consent calendar. So we have 5 items that have been removed from the consent calendar: U3A, U4A, U8B, U9B, and U9C. Those are
U9E, U9E, not C.
E?
Yes, E. U9E, not U9C.
Oh, E?
E is in elephant. E is in
Oh,
elephant.
okay.
And
All right.
A, I think
Got
A
you.
also.
Okay.
Unite
Thank
A
you.
also.
All right. So U9B and U9E is an echo.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion on the consent calendar?
I'll move the consent calendar with the changes of U3A, U4A, U8B, U9B, and U9E.
Okay. Motion by Johnson. Second. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Second by Martinez. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
C.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yep.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Yes.
and Mayor Pike.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous.
Well, now we'll move to item V1, amendments to Richmond Municipal Code Article 6, Chapter 6.02. Would you read that, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, item V1 is a public hearing. And pursuant to public notice, it's time to hold a public hearing to introduce an ordinance for first reading with an effective date of January 1st, 2023, amending Richmond Municipal Code, Article 6, Building Regulations, Chapter 6.02, by adopting the 2022 California Building Standards Code with noted local amendments.
I don't know that we need a presentation on this. I'm gonna just ask if anybody has any questions. Don't see any. Do we have any public speakers?
No public speakers.
Okay, so this is, I'm sorry, this is a public hearing, so I should open the public hearing and ask if there are any public speakers. And the answer
No
is no.
public speakers.
So I'll close the public hearing and see if there's a motion.
I move the item.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Jimenez, second by Johnson. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Yes.
and Mayor Pike.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous.
The next item is W1, Marina Lease Amendment and Assignment. Would you read that item, please?
Yes, item W1 is to approve an assignment of marina lease to Safe Harbors Marinas and approve an amendment and restate marinas lease between the city of Richmond and Safe Harbors Marinas for the balance of the 55-year original lease term ending June 30th, 2055.
Is there a staff report?
Good evening, Mayor, and City Council. This is Craig Murray, in City Manager's Office. I'm Development Project Manager 2. And we do have a PowerPoint presentation. If you'd like to see that, I can present that.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, KCRT, can you bring up the Marina Lease PowerPoint presentation? Okay, we have 5 slides. This is item W1, approve an assignment of marina lease to Safe Harbor Marinas, SHM MBYH LLC, and approve an amended and restated marina lease between the city of Richmond and Safe Harbor Marinas, SHM MBYH LLC, for the balance of a 55 original lease term ending June 30th, 2055. Next slide, please. In June of 2000, the City of Richmond's redevelopment agency and Marina Bay Marina LLC entered an agreement to operate the public operation of the marina and its facilities. On May 23rd of this year, Mr. David H. Clark, President of Warmington Capital Marinas LLC, forwarded a letter to the City Attorney's Office and City Manager's Office stating that the Marina Bay Richmond Bay Marina is requesting that City of Richmond has landlord consent to Richmond Bay Marina LLC assigning its interest to Safe Harbor Marinas. Next slide, please. Marina lease section 801, tenants right to sublet and assign. Tenant may not sell, assign, transfer, sublease, encumber, convey, otherwise dispose of the tenant's interest in this lease, including without limitation an assignment of this lease of a subletting of the property as an entirety or substantially as an entirety without the prior written consent of the landlord. Section B reads, landlord shall have the right to approve or disapprove its sole discretion, any transaction or series of transactions. Next slide. Marina lease review. City staff engaged Land Econ Group to perform a financial review and analysis of the proposed marina lease transfer, including the financial status of the proposed new marina operator, Safe Harbor Marinas, and a review of 3 marinas that operates in Northern California. This review indicated that Safe Harbor Marinas is the largest and most diversified owner and operator in the United States. By all indications, Safe Harbor Marinas, being part of Sun Communities, has the financial capability to acquire the lease, invest in capital improvements, and upgrade the Richmond Marina. In their Bay Area acquisitions, Safe Harbor Marinas has shown a pattern of making investments to improve facilities and operation. Next slide. Marina lease review and changes. Other than several identified expired or obsolete provisions in the original lease, the new amended and restated lease is similar to the original lease. The Richmond Marina lease transfer from the Richmond Bay Marina LLC, the original tenant, to Safe Harbor Marinas SHB MBYH LLC will transfer at $16 million, and the terms of the original lease will remain essentially intact. Richmond's property tax transfer tax, Measure H, passed in 2018, allowing for $30 per every 1,000 in transaction amount for property transfers over 10 million, will allow a one-time payment to the city's general fund of $480,000 due to the $16 million transfer price. And there will be a November 30th, 2022 closing date. Next slide. Recommended action is approving assignment of the marina lease to Safe Harbor Marinas SHM MBYH LLC and approve an amended and restated marina lease between the City of Richmond and Safe Harbor Marinas SHM MBYH LLC for the balance of the 55-year original lease term ending June 30th, 2055. Now, tonight we do have representatives from Safe Harbor Marinas, as Ms. Kate Pearson, as well as David Clark and Steve Rose, the current operators. And we also have Mr. Bill Lee, who is with Land Econ Group that did the economic analysis. And that's the end of the report.
Are there any questions from council members? I don't see any. Are there any public speakers?
There are no public speakers.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move the item.
I'll second.
Motion by McLaughlin, second by Johnson. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yeah.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Yes.
and Mayor Butt.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous.
Okay, we'll move now to item U3A, noise issues coming from Port Industries. Would you read that, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, item U3A is to direct staff to bring a report to the City Council in December that addresses ways to regulate the major noise issues coming from Port Industries.
Councilmember McLaughlin, this is your item. Would you like to?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So residents of Marina Bay have been engaged with me and city staff over the past 2 years on this noise issue that is really, totally disrupting their sleep throughout the night. Really loud noises. And so we've done all kinds of staff and noise specialist meetings. We had noise monitors put out there, and now city staff is going to further analyze the results of the noise monitoring with LSA, who did the monitoring, and also work with Council of Industries. Katrinka and Lizette have been in touch today, and we really just, residents of Marina Bay are really fed up, and I put this on, staff has already been working on this. I put this on there on the agenda just to let the community know that this will not be, we will not, set this aside. I want them to know that we are continuing to work on this to find a solution, whether it's setting some different hours, it might have to do with the railroads, but we need to engage with the businesses because they set the schedule for when their shipments come in. It's all still in the process of being analyzed, but it's really important because residents of Marina Bay are saying they're going to have to move out of the city because of this. I mean, like I said, this has been 2 years and their patience is running thin. And so I want to make sure they know that myself, this is in my district, Marina Bay, and city staff are very serious about addressing this. And I really appreciate Katrinka Ruck's willingness to talk about this, find ways to address this situation. All this is needed to come up with a solution. And the action that this item is requesting is that the city staff brings back a report in December to the city council. It won't be this complete solution at that point, but at least it will show us what progress has been made and what ideas for how to remedy the situation have been brought to the forefront. And this way, I will continue to stay engaged on this so our residents know that this is not going to be set aside. They have to know this because otherwise they feel that they're not being heard. And I want them to know they're being heard. Not only are they being heard, but solutions are being brought forward.
Are there questions from council members? I have a question for Councilmember McLaughlin. So what is the source or sources?
Yeah.
These noise complaints?
That is definitely what staff has been trying to work through to figure out. The one of the residents who has been engaged with me on this has thought it might be Levin Terminal or Sims, or it could be the railroad that leads to them, and all the what is it called, coupling and just various railroad as it pulls into the rail yard, the noise, because it's a very loud clanging sounds, and it's throughout the night. And the resident who I've been engaged with the most is saying she moved into Marina Bay in 2011. And it was not like this at that point. So obviously the shipments have increased. And it's now throughout the night. And we've already looked at the noise ordinance, and the noise ordinance indicates that between 10 and 7, there should not be this high level noise. So we have that to work with. And I know, Mr. Mayor, you're very familiar with the noise ordinance. So it's just a question of identifying exactly where it's coming from, and then working with the businesses, the railroads, whoever is responsible, probably both of them, to make sure that there's a reasonable amount of time at night where this kind of noise is not disrupting the sleep of our residents.
Well, you know, you can't regulate the railroads, so hopefully
Yeah,
they're
but, yeah.
they're not the source of it because there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, you could have the businesses say, hey, we are only going to take shipments at certain points
Well, that's
of
true.
the day. Yeah.
Okay, well, I wish you luck. Any other questions from council members? Are there any public speakers?
Yes, we have one public speaker. We have Mark Wasberg. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is how stupid McLaughlin is. I mean, you ain't gonna stop the railroads because they're under federal law. They have every right to get out there, what they need to support the community. She's just a bunch of stupid activists, a bunch of neo-Nazis who wants to control the city. Oh, matter of fact, when Brett released all those addresses, 116 Orchard Road, that's where McLaughlin lives. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go over her house and take a picture. I'm gonna put it on the motherfucking internet where everybody knows where this Nazi dictator lives. That's right, people. You're gonna know where she lives. And we're not gonna stand for no Nazi dictator trying to tell us that we can't have shipments. I said, we're all for, that's what we needed, all out revolution. Get rid of this fucking garbage.
Wow.
You hear me?
Yes. Are you done?
No, I'm not done. That's what I'm saying. They want to go ahead and destroy Richmond. They don't care as long as they push their neo-Nazi agenda against businesses. It's sickening, man. We need to get rid of you fucking people, man. I can't see how in the world people could be so stupid to put you in office. And if this brain dead Aguado gets there, we're really going to be in fucking trouble. But the election's not over yet, dude. You're over there boasting that you won the election. It ain't over yet. There's about 30,000 more votes out there, fool. You understand? You got to be the most stupid son of a bitch that ever was in government. It's just amazing how stupid the people are, especially these fucking assholes in the fucking African village who are a bunch of fucking morons. Cool, I could be professional, but I tell you, man, bottom line is we got to get rid of you motherfuckers, man. You're just tearing our Constitution up. You're tearing our country up. You're tearing the businesses.
There are no more public speakers.
Okay, is there a motion?
I move the item.
Is there a
I
second?
second it.
Okay, motion by McLaughlin, second by Jimenez. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
That Second Amendment is real. Yes.
McLaughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Yes.
and Mayor Butt.
Yes.
The vote is unanimous.
Okay, the next item is item U4A, 2-month extension of rebuilding together East Bay North /SOS contract. Would you read that item, please?
Yes, item U4A is to approve an amendment number 2 of the Rebuilding Together East Bay North contract to extend the term to January 31st, 2023, and increase the contract limit by $166,504.72 for a new total contract limit not to exceed $1,150,479.72 to continue providing encampment services and job opportunities for the unhoused.
So staff report.
Yes, Mayor, we have a short presentation. Jesus, are you able to share your screen or do you want me to do that?
Let me see if I can do that. Give me 1 second.
All right, well, good
Hi.
evening, Mayor, council members. So Lena Velasco, Director of Community Development. Here this evening, we also have Jesus Morales, which is our housing manager, who will be doing the presentation and then will be available to answer specific questions.
Thank you, Lena. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. The item before you is to amend the Rebuilding Together East Bay North contract to extend the term by 2 months until January 31, 2023. Correction there, my apologies, and increase the contract amount by $166,504.72. Part of the services that SOS provides includes porta potties at Castro encampment, providing mobile showers at Castro and other city sites, assisting the city with special cleanups such as the Clean Air Day event that occurred in October, monthly resident cleanup days that we are scheduling at the Castro encampment, and also auto tow days when they help clean us up, and debris removal week. SOS hires unhoused residents and provides a flexible job schedule to help transition unhoused residents back into the workforce. SOS has been successful in transitioning several of its workers out of encampments into stable housing. SOS is also providing mobile showers at various locations and debris pickup at multiple locations throughout the city. SOS also provides support in sunsetting of encampments, including Ryden and Targetville. So the demand for services has increased as more encampments have been popping over around the city due to movement created by city, Caltrans, and adjacent city abatements of unhoused encampments. In addition, as wintertime approaches, the city anticipates needing to deploy items such as socks, blankets, coats, rain protection, and other items, and SOS can assist with distribution of these items. SOS is also supporting the city to clean out debris from RVs prior to towing, which was done over at Brighton, and which we anticipate will be happening, and it has happened at the Castro encampment. The current amendment to extend the contract for 2 months and increase funding is reflective of the additional work that SOS work is providing and has been providing over the past several months. So on this slide, I wanted to show you the contract summary. Initially, the original contract for $983,975 was from July 2021 to July 2022 for a period of 12 months, averaging just over $81,000, or I should say closer to $82,000 per month. The First Amendment was to increase the time extension, not to increase any funding. So that extended the contract out to 16 months. The average at that point is just around $61,500. The current amendment will add an extension of 2 months and add $166,504.72 from November 2022 to January 31, 22, an additional 2 months. For these 2 months, the average of this cost is $83,000. However, when you take the total contract amount, $1,150,480,000 over the 18-month period, the average is more to what was the average at the time of the time extension for the first round, which was $61,000, which is now $63,000. Considering the amount of work that SOS has done and continues to do, and the necessity of addressing the debris pickup, dealing with encampment residents throughout the city, and in particularly currently helping us out with the Castro encampment, city staff recommends that the contract extension be approved. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions, as is Director of Community Development, Lena Velasco.
Questions from city council members? I don't see any.
Yeah, I'd
ahead.
like that. Would you identify the source of these funds?
Yes, I can assist with that, Councilmember Bates. So the original funding was from the city council under the recommendations that the Reimagining Public Safety Task Force had. So those were 1.3 million total that was approved by the city council. In addition, this fiscal year, the city council has also earmarked about $1.3 million for unhoused interventions. However, given various sources since we wanted to do competitive bidding, and unfortunately, just due to other commitments that staff has, we have been unable to complete review of the request for qualifications that we did issue. But the city council in the budget did earmark 1.3 million for unhoused intervention. So we're proposing that we be available to use those funds that the city council has already appropriated.
We have not received any money from the county or the state or the federal government in reference to assisting us in the housing.
We are able to, since SOS is providing direct services to the Castro encampment, we are going to be able to minimize the amount of money that we use of the general fund money by using the grant that we received for Castro. So all of the time that SOS spends on doing cleanups, showers, porta potties, we'll be able to use the grant funded projects. The encampment resolution.
Approximately what amount of grant money we're anticipating?
It's really going to depend on how many. Right now, when working with Way to Love, who is the program manager for Castro, one of the big things we need to do is secure the site, and that's going to require consolidation. So we're expecting that a lot of SOS's function for the next couple of months will really be directed towards Castro. So there's a potential we'll be able to use most of it. And so I don't have an exact amount, but we are hoping to deploy as many services towards Castro as we can during these months.
Well, the other question is, what about alternate sites that can accommodate more? There's a site that I mentioned some time ago on Jackson Way. I guess it's in it's right there beyond, across from the Richmond Republic Sanitation office. That was a site. That was another site on the Parkway, right off of Gertrude. So we continue to allow the Castro site to go without any relocation. And that site, I think we all agree, is terrible. I mean, it's a total embarrassment. It's worse than the Wright Road. So what is the plans? We just keep spending money, accommodating, and not looking for a permanent location with some degree of respectability?
I think we've proposed, staff has presented potential locations for a safe parking program or interim sheltering sites. I think what we've gotten is a lot of pushback from area neighbors. And so it's been difficult to get the council to approve a site for us to establish a program. We have evaluated many of the sites that you suggested. One of the other challenges in the North Richmond area is the jurisdictional boundaries. So we are affected by what land is within our jurisdiction and also having private owners be willing to lease back to the city. So we're continuing to work with the Homeless Task Force as well as other community partners to try to see if we can identify a site. But for Castro, we do have the encampment resolution grant, which, we're working towards a final sunset, needs to be by June 2024. But we're working to have everyone off the site by December 31st, 2023.
Has anyone looked at the old Dolan site on Central Avenue that is paved, nicely fenced, and it looks like a strong possibility?
We have, a portion of that property is within the city of El Cerrito. But I think more to that is that there is an approved affordable housing project that's proposed at that site. So it's already approved for development. But we'd be happy to bring back options for the council again soon in the new year for consideration and direction from the council.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions from council members? Do we have any public speakers?
Yes, we have 5 speakers now. We have RNCC, Amanda Jenkins, Jesse Teran, Mark Wasberg, O'Neill Fernandez, and Randy Scott. RNCC, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start. You could please unmute yourself. Okay, we'll come back to them. I have Amanda Jenkins. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Hello. Good evening, guys. I'm actually just getting on this meeting, but I just want to say SOS has been a big change in my life. I'm one of the in-house. I'm actually the founder of the Castro encampment. And SOS changed my whole entire life. I didn't really realize it at the time, but I do now. And they changed so many people's lives over there. To get rid of SOS it would just be thrown. I mean, you might as well throw in the towel. They're the only thing helping the homeless. They've been a major part in everything that's happened down there. They give everybody a job. They get people willing to work, wanting to think differently about their life. You know what I mean? SOS is the best thing that happened to Castro. You'd be a fool to get rid of it. I'm done.
Thank you. Next speaker is Jesse Teran. Jesse, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
First of all, I just also would like to throw my support behind SOS. Daniel Barth and the whole SOS crew they're incredible. They're really just good people, and they do the job that they say they're going to do, which is really remarkable. The second thing I would like to say is that the grant for Castro was $4.8 million. And it was for 102 residents. However, there is not 102 residents at the Castro encampment, so that there is more money than that. There's an abundance of money there. And that money comes from the HAAP funds. And oh no, that was a grant. But there's also the HAAP funds and the AARP funds, all of which the city received from the state and federal government. So the city itself should not be having to pay anything for any of this stuff. As far as the sites go, there's the Richmond Field Station, which is also fenced and paved. There is a neighborhood location on First and Silver, which was zoned very low income housing, which was all torn down because of asbestos, and nothing has been put up there. There's also on the Richmond Parkway, there are several potential sites there. Any of them would be good. The thing to remember is that the residents of these encampments, they're also a potential workforce. If you connect residency requirements with job training and say any person who lives there must be in a job training program, it would actually bolster the economy of Richmond. It would not be a drain, it would be a boost. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Mark Wasberg. Mark, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
You hear me?
Yes.
I want to see statistics. I want to see how many people are going to go to work by the SOS. You ain't giving no people no statistics. All you're coming up there saying we're getting money for this. It's our taxpayers' money that's paying for it. It's the people that have to get up every morning and put up with the traffic and put up with the BS. We are paying for it. Now, one person on Castro or Writers Road is willing to go up there when they had that job fair to look for a job. What kind of job you going to give them? A green job? They don't pay no money? I want to see statistics. You come up, you start showing the people how many people you're going to put to work. These flyby jobs that McLaughlin's talking about, the green jobs, $15 an hour with no benefits, no retirement, no nothing. If you give a person a freebie, they're going to go for it. This is why there's so many homeless campers popping up in Richmond, because the RPA wants Richmond to be a welfare city. You people just don't get it, man. I can't see how in the world you could be so freaking stupid, sitting there believing all this crap by the RPA and this idiot moron, Aguado. This no good idiot lost every debate that we had on the mayor's race. Every debate. This guy was a totally, quote, fucking idiot. And you people sit there and believe in all this stuff? I want to see statistics. If you are giving us some good statistics, that you giving these people a place where they could go out and look for work, where they could talk to the companies to hire these people, that's fine. Great. But you're not giving us, you're not doing that. You're just giving them freebies. Here, stay at this camp. We will feed you. We will clothe you. We will give you a free bath. Matter of fact, this one guy, SOS, he came up to offer me a shower. I said, look, dude, man, I clean myself every day, man. I got the.
Your time has expired. The next speaker is O'Neill Fernandez. O'Neill, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Hi, I'm O'Neill. I'm the outreach team leader for SOS, and I'm an old resident at Castro. I'm an old resident throughout Richmond. I've been homeless for years, not just me, my wife, and we are now sober, working, doing all the things that the last speaker said that us homeless bums don't want to do. We did it. We took the opportunity that SOS gave us, and I'm a mental first aider. I've done a bunch of training for trauma, a bunch of different things. I've as well as 20 something other SOS members who are actively working right now have all made those steps into better lives. And a lot of that is due to what SOS have given us, is, they gave us that light. I mean, there wasn't a light there. And sure, there's always going to be the people that don't want to work and want the freebies, but there's a huge portion of the people out there that not just Castro and all these sites that we go to nowadays, now that Riding's shut down, now that the Greenway over there at Target shut down, we're expanding through a lot of different places, and that we don't see much service going to these areas, over at Regatta. I mean, different areas that we're going to on a daily basis. We're out there talking to new people and offering jobs in some sense, through SOS, as well as other things. We were working with Richmond Works for a while, offering the showers at different places that people haven't had showers in God knows how long. I mean, when we showed up in some sites, some of our newer sites, they hadn't had showers in months. The smiles that came off of these people, and you know what? Some of those people that came for those showers at these new stalls are now some of our local stewards throughout Richmond. So I think SOS is one of the best things that happened in my life, as well as a lot of the unhoused lives out here.
Thank you. The next speaker is Randy Scott, and the following speakers after that will be Deborah Small, RNCC, Daniel Barth, and Leah Murray. Randy Scott, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let me give you a statistic. A 33-year straight prison person doesn't get a job, doesn't get a home. He steals and he lies and he cheats, and that's who I used to be. The statistics were against me, and they rightly were so. But from Soledad to the staff manager at SOS, I am now housed. I rent my own apartment. I own my own vehicles. I am a registered person in the society. I even got jury summons. And I want to tell you that all happened because I got this job. That all happened because I had the opportunity. That all happened because we have a lot of things going on there. I just now applied and was accepted for physical agility testing after passing the online exams with East Bay Mud to be a plumber, distribution plumber 1. Who was going to do that? I'm 58 years old. It happened because I got my job together with SOS. I've been to first aid training. I'm now certified first aider. I'm also been to hazmat training, and I've been to Narcan training, and it continues. Right now we have a current curriculum about personal compassing and how we are going to improve our lives and the lives around us and pass it on and be a model. SOS works. It's not easy. It's not always warm, or it's not always dry. It's work, but it's worthwhile work. And when I'm done at the end of the day, I can tell you, I go down Point Richmond, I go down to Miller down there at Keller Beach, and I'd love to take photos down there. I can enjoy the sunset because I'm part of Richmond, and I'm not. And on November 20th, be one whole year, I've been off parole. I have no other things. After 33 straight years, SOS, no parole on November 20th, one whole year. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Next speaker is Deborah Small. Deborah, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Yes, good evening. My name is Deborah Small. I'm a Richmond resident. I'm also chair of the Richmond Reimagining Public Safety Community Task Force. And I just want to take this opportunity to reinforce support for SOS and for the work that they've been doing along with collaborating and other community-based organizations to help meet the needs of our unsheltered residents of Richmond. Any of us could end up in a circumstance where we find ourselves homeless and unemployed. And my hope is that we could show the level of compassion to these folks that we would want to be shown to us. I've been very impressed with the work that SOS has been doing and of the testimonials from the various people who've participated in the program. I'm glad that the city has seen fit to extend their contract for another 2 months, and I'm hoping that they will extend it further into the rest of next year so that they can continue to do this work that is much needed in Richmond and for which many people will be eternally grateful. I yield for time.
Thank you. And we will try the RNCC again. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start if you could unmute yourself. User titled RNCC, if you could unmute yourself, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. Hello?
Oh, my name is Garetha Johnson from Parchester Village. And I want to say what SOS has done for Parchester Village. Our abatement team is rock stars and they do a wonderful job. But in the meantime, SOS will come in and do what our abatement team can't do. They pick up the large items, but in between there is like 100 pieces of little paper that they do on Collins and Morton, which seems to be a dumping place for a lot of people. And so SOS comes in and they make the difference for people in Parchester. And we are a community that love our community, but if people are able to come and dump and they look at all the trash there, they feel like we are not ones who are able, that we don't love our community. And SOS makes the difference and it works with the city of Richmond. So I say, give them what they need to have because they make the difference in our lives. And they also employ people who have been unemployed, employable, and make a difference in not only their lives, but in my lives also. So the fact that I don't have to go up and pick up that trash and make my neighborhood look like it's a dumping ground and someone's going to come in and make the difference for me, I thank them for that. And I want our city council to know that we appreciate SOS. And I want you to know that the place that they make in our lives in Parchester Village. I yield my time. Thank you.
The next speaker is Daniel Barth. Daniel, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
With pleasure. And I so appreciate having the opportunity to be here after year one. This is Daniel Barth. I'm the executive director of SOS Richmond, Safe Organized Spaces. And if anyone wants to have a phone number for if you have a complaint, if you have a concern, if there's a hot spot, if there's someone who you think is in trouble, I'm going to give you the phone number, but give you a chance to go get a pen and a piece of paper, and I'll give it to you in 1 minute and 36 seconds. So my role is to help facilitate this process of getting folks into opportunities. Without opportunities, the city is running an end game of no change. When it's abatement after abatement of moving things around, we have to create alternatives. And the opportunity of change, as Amanda said, is the alternative. Let me give you one good example. O'Neill and Randy, they're both team leaders, and one is a manager. If Randy doesn't become a plumber, then he might, if he chooses, apply for and become a full-time employee of Lifelong Medical Care, our premier organization for providing health care. O'Neill as well. Those will be 2 FTE, 2 full-time employees that will not have to be paid for by the city, but will be paid for and supervised by this professional organization as we professionalize as well. We're going to be in Castro 6 days a week. We're going to be there heavy 3 days a week. I'm going to give you the phone number now, and this one's for you, Mark, and I'm so appreciative that you actually were asked to take a shower, because that shows that we are in the field doing the work that we're supposed to be doing. The phone number for our SOS Neighborhood Outreach Hotline is 510-806-8650. It rings, we answer. SOS is ready for you throughout the day, and we'll be there with your help. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Leah Murray. Leah, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Good evening, City Council. Leah Murray, co-director of Collaborizing, along with my husband, Ramon Quintana, who's also a co-director. I want to lend my support to SOS receiving a contract extension. Collaborizing had our start in the city of Richmond because of the work that Daniel Barth and SOS have been doing. I can tell you that he is one of the reasons why we were able to participate in many of the things that we're doing. They were generous enough to share that part of their contract with us, which enabled us to help them and other organizations, help with many unhoused people. I also want to share that Daniel's staff, especially O'Neill and Tishambe, were rock stars at our Clean Air event at Castro. They're excellent team leaders. I also want to share that I have personally worked with Randy Scott and encouraged by his work, and Collaborizing has used SOS staff in some of our events, and they have partnered with us. And so please support them. They are an awesome organization. And again, we wouldn't be here without them. They are truly team players and are worthy of support. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no more public speakers.
Are there any further questions or comments from city council members? Go ahead, Councilmember Willis, and then Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to say briefly that I remember when Daniel Barth was showing up to the homeless task force meetings and talking about this idea of actually not only working with encampments and finding safe places, but actually working with homeless individuals to be a champion in their neighborhoods and actually take responsibility for the encampments and be a part of the solution and give them work experience. And I remember that just being a concept, but fast forwarding to 2022, almost about 5 years later, since I first heard about it from animals. And hearing their testimony is actually a great thing to hear. And I'm completely 100% extending this contract and wanted to say congratulations to Daniel and everybody else at SOS who have made this happen. And I hope the work can continue and expand to other individuals that need that help too.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Yes, I'm always amazed at the healing power of compassion, at how compassion can lift people up and show them that they can be responsible for their own being. But you need opportunity before that responsibility can take hold. And I have worked with Daniel. I've worked with Leah on the Ride-In Road, and I've been out to Castro several times. And I see what they do. My question to people who don't want to support them is, if not SOS, then what? What will become of these people if we don't support SOS and support the communities in whatever way we can support them? They will end up scattering, but they'll end up somewhere, and who knows where that will be. We need to make sure that we help them become, we need to help them find better situations, and SOS is the only answer that we have at this point. And if anyone can come up with something better, I would definitely love to hear it. And I'm sure that Daniel and Leah would love to hear it also. So thank you for the work that you do.
Councilor McLaughlin, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to lend my voice to say thank you to SOS, to the streets team, to Daniel Barth, to all the people affiliated with them, to Collaborizing, who has worked in the past and likely will in the future with SOS. It's really important that we continue this work. People have gotten jobs. You've heard the testimony, and then they are getting ready to move on to the next job after they've gotten some experience and filled in their job record when they've had large gaps. And it's just really, truly a pleasure to see the life transformation that has occurred with just some guidance and some love and compassion and hard work, because I know Daniel works hard. I know all the SOS folks work hard. The streets team is, the bulk of what this money is for all the various, the shower team, the outreach team, the trash pickup team. I mean, they meet every morning and get their assignment for the day, and they carry it out. So we're very lucky to have them, as has been said by others. I just want to thank all the speakers who spoke out in favor of them. And I also want to say to Councilmember Bates' comment about, or question about other sites for moving RVs and perhaps cabin villages. I'm continuing to work on it with city staff, Michelle Milam, Jesus Morales, Lena Velasco. We continue to seek out new sites. I'm also working with John Joya because I know some of the sites are in unincorporated. So I know that's going to be a next step for us to come up with some sites, or at least, one site to begin with, to have a transitional place. And of course, we got the Housing First RFP out there, and SOS wants to work with whoever gets that contract so that people can be transitioned into jobs and into homes, into houses, apartments. So I think we're onto something here in Richmond, thanks to hardworking people, and thanks to the compassion that I believe we all will have when, and by approving this item, I believe we will be showing that compassion one more time. So thank you.
Councilmember Johnson, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Ms. Morales for that wonderful presentation, but just also wanted to make the motion to approve the item U4A, the amendment number 2 of the Rebuilding Together East Bay North contract to extend the term to January 31st, 2023, and so on and so forth, as read in the agenda.
I second that.
So I can read it all if you like.
I hear a motion by Johnson, a second, I think, by Jimenez. And before we call the vote, I want to tell you why I'm not going to support this. There's only one way to make a person who is unhoused or homeless to turn them into a person who is housed. and that's to find a house for them. You know, hiring people to clean up trash for $18 an hour and providing showers does not put people in housing. And this contract now is going to $1.15 million to Rebuilding Together East Bay North. For that amount of money, we could have put 50 people into apartments for a year. And that's really what we should be doing. So, and I've been clear about this from the beginning. We ought to be housing people, not providing them jobs at minimum wage and showers. The other thing is that with the contract now that's well over $1 million, Rebuilding Together East Bay North has never provided any accountability for how this money is spent. We don't know how many people have ended up with housing. We don't know how many people have ended up with real jobs other than the jobs that SOS provides them. We don't have any of that information. So I think that at some point we need to start putting people in housing and not just spending more and more money on services while they live in an RV at Castro Street or somewhere else. So with that, go ahead, Councilmember McLaughlin.
I just have to refute that before we move on to Councilmember Johnson's motion. That is not true. Reports come constantly from SOS. Lena has them all. We hear them from the Public Safety Task Force update. The very detailed statistics on how many showers, how many jobs, and we've heard from the testimony, people need jobs in order to pay the rent. So housing and jobs go hand in hand. But as I mentioned, we have a Housing First RFP out there, and you know, we're going to get that going as well. So that's all I have to say.
Well, good luck. Okay, let's call a roll on this, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
I think she stepped away for a second.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Willis,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Yes.
and Mayor Butt.
No.
Motion passes with Mayor Butt voting no.
Okay, the next item is U8B, approval of the expenditure associated with the 2022-2025 California Violence Intervention and Prevention Grant Award. So is there a staff report? Oh, I'm sorry, why don't you read the whole item, Madam Clerk?
Okay. Yes, item U8B is to adopt a resolution to accept and appropriate the expenditure plan associated with the 2022 through 2025 California Violence Intervention and Prevention Program Grant Award in amount of $6 million and authorize the city manager or designee to negotiate and execute multi-year contracts with termination dates ranging from June 30th of 2025 through June 31st of 2025 with Rise Center for $1 million, Richmond Police Activities League for $1,150,000, and Safe Return Project for $1 million. Evidence Change $300,000, Literacy for Every Adult Program $120,000, and for Financial Audit Services $25,000, and authorize the city manager or designee to execute all budgetary and program amendments approved by the Board of State and Community Corrections and any associated city contract amendments.
Are there any questions from City Council? Well, I guess we should have a staff report. I'm sorry. So do you have a staff report on? Go ahead with the staff report.
Evening, Mayor Butt and members of the City Council. This is LaShonda White, Interim Director for Library and Community Services. And I'm now going to turn it over to Mr. Sam Vaughn to provide a brief report.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. This has been a grant that we've fought for many years. I believe our first one we received was in 2008. A lot of the work that we are asking other CBOs to do are areas where we were doing that work, like the bedside intervention work that RISE was able to get the contract for, because we had a RFQ process. Them and I believe about 4 other organizations tried to put in for qualifications. RISE won the qualifications, got the proposal, and so now they do that work. And we try to make sure that work continues because it's very important. So that's why we partner with them with their community or their cognitive behavioral therapy also, because they have on-site licensed therapists. So what we've done throughout the years is we've had numerous partners. Some were able to do the work successful, some for whatever reason, change in administration, change in leadership, change in direction and mission of the organization. But the partners that we have found work with a population that's very difficult. And we try to make sure that we support that work because that work supports ours. So the grant mandates half of the total go to CBOs, which is why they have the amount that they do. It mandated a $300,000 evaluation minimum, 5% of the total grant award, and a $25,000 audit at the end of the year. So all we did was just follow the structure of the grant and the deliverables, and they pretty much tell you what is and what isn't appropriate to do with the violence intervention money.
And I would also just like to add that the Office of Neighborhood Safety has received this CalVIT grant for the past 14 years and has been successful at not only receiving the grant, but in implementing the deliverables of the grant. So thank you, Sam and ONS, for all your work.
Questions from council members. Go ahead, Councilmember Jimenez.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, Sambon, for the directions of ONS and all the work that ONS is doing. As we know, since the start of ONS, gun violence has down 66%, and it's all about doing a more creative way of dealing with gun violence and providing opportunities for folks and a way out of that. And I think that has been a success, and thank you. And I am glad that you are directing ONS, and thank you, Lashanda, for your leadership and providing support. And I just wanted to say that this is something that ONS deserve, has been working, has been getting, but the fact also that this grant increased a lot in the amount of money that ONS was able to receive this time. It was also because City Council, through the reimagining public safety, were allocated and double the budget of ONS. So the ONS was able to match with that double allocation of funding to receive more grants as well. So I just wanted to say also thank you to all the City Council members who voted for that. And now we are seeing that it is paying off. It's bringing more money to the city to continue to do the work of improving public safety in a holistic way. For precaution, I will have to recuse myself from this vote because my husband, Eli Moore, is a board member of Safe Return Project, and Safe Return Project is going to receive some money, even though he doesn't get any money as a volunteer position. He doesn't get any money from whether Safe Return Project gets this money or not. but just kind of like for public perceptions, unfortunately, I will have to recuse myself from voting, but I just wanted to say that I fully support ONS and the work, and I will continue to do that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from council members? We have any public speakers?
Yes, we have one. We have Mark Wasberg. Well, we have two now, and Jesse Turan. Mark Wasberg, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Yeah, you hear me?
Yes.
Now, I don't know what kind of violence you talk about. You talk about gun violence or the violence here in Richmond. Now, I don't know what the ONS going to do with $6 million. That money should have went to the Richmond PD. These people are professionals in fighting crime. Now, I don't know if you people been out there. I was out there in 2004 until 2006 filming this stuff. I made a documentary. I was out there showing it to people. You people never seen what I seen. The majority of the violence has been inside the Iron Triangle, North Richmond, and the South Side, which is majority black. You had 370 homicides since 2004. Just like I said on the Facebook, not one white person was down there killing anybody. Y'all doing it to yourselves. If you want to stop the guns, you get these people educated. Get them into job skills. Right after high school, get them to a job training program. They're gangsters. There's always going to be somebody out there being a gangster. There's always going to be somebody out there doing bad things. But you got to realize the black population is losing. Because I was with Shoemaker, I was with Newsom, I was with Hatchet, I was with Corky Bazet, I was with all these people. I seen the dead bodies. I filmed it. I documented it. I'll be glad to show you my documentary. I just filmed the aftermath of homicide down on 4th and McDonald around 6 weeks ago. I filmed them putting the body on the gurner, well, the meat wagon. You never seen that crap. You sit home every night in your office and talk about this stuff, but you never been out there. It's just amazing. Like I say, you know, it's not the guns that are doing, it's the people that's doing with the guns. That's what it is. You got a 16-year-old going around with an AK-47 who's in a MAC-10. I got newspaper clippings. I got video. I got everything. I'll be glad to show you it. You people don't know nothing about the violence. You don't know about.
Time has expired. The next speaker is Jesse Turan, and the following speaker after that is Deborah Small. Jesse Turan, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Okay, just real quick. I wanted to just show my appreciation at Claudia Jimenez for recusing herself, not just because of the climate, the political climate that our country is in right now and the things that are being done. And I just wanted to say that showed real class on her part. And I also wanted to just condemn what the previous speaker just said in the strongest terms possible. The racist, I wouldn't even say, I mean, I have no words. I have no words. Anyway, I give up the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Deborah Small. Deborah, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, this is Deborah Small again, Richmond resident, proud member of the Reimagining Richmond Public Safety Community Task Force. I want to strongly support the expenditure that the City Council is supporting that's addressing the issue of reducing violence in our city at a time that we've seen increasing homicides and gun violence around the Bay Area. Richmond stands out as a city that has not experienced the same level of violence as our neighboring cities. And part of that is because of the work of ONS, because of the foresight that Richmond has shown in taking innovative approaches to preventing crime and preventing violence and thinking differently about public safety. And I just want to acknowledge that one of the best things that happened this last week is that Americans had a choice between whether or not they were going to support the politics of reactionism, of racism, of misogyny, of homophobia, of white supremacy and nationalism, and of people who refuse to accept democracy. And overwhelmingly, the country said no. I am so grateful that the country did that as a whole, but I'm even more grateful that Richmond residents had enough sense not to elect that asshole Mark Wassberg as mayor. I yield my time.
Thank you. And there are no more public speakers.
Any further comments from council members? Councilmember McLaughlin, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank ONS. I want to thank Sam Vaughn and the entire ONS staff and all the organizations who will be getting some of this funding, much deserved funding. But speaking first and foremost to ONS, I know it is not easy to get up every day and go out with this task and charge and mission to quell the violence before it starts. And yet that's what your team does, Sam. And I know I had an opportunity, when I first got back on council to revisit all of you, and I could see everybody getting ready for the day. And I know it's a hard task, but it's done. It's done because people believe in the mission. And people want to make a difference. So thank you for having that mission, and you and your staff are amazing. And again, all the other organizations are amazing as well. And together we make a difference.
Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you. I dare say this is one of the best things that the city of Richmond has done. We know that relationships are the center of all interactions. And this program, what we're going to do will teach people how to relate to each other. It's focused on introspection. It's focused on how we perceive others and how we relate to others. And that's the best way to achieve peace, through understanding. I mean, when I look at this, I see street outreach workers, I see mentoring, I see cognitive behavioral therapy, hospital-based violence intervention, life skills training, healing circles, case management, subsidized employment, project evaluation. There's so much going on here, and all of this will make all of us better people. It will make Richmond a better community. And I'm so proud that we're doing this. There's one organization, and Mayor, you were there with us, Phoenix Rising. I'd like to give a shout out to Phoenix Rising, who is another organization that is working with at-risk youth. So, you were there too, Councilmember Demlis Johnson. Yeah, so I can't forget you being there. Anyway, I might have missed someone else, but I was focused on the message. So anyway, thanks to the city of Richmond for making this happen.
You're muted, Tom.
Councilor Johnson, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Director Vaughn, for that excellent presentation and explanation of the grant and awardee system. I remember having an opportunity to travel with you and Miss Tammy, where I had the chance to meet a young man who was directly positively impacted by the programming provided by ONS. And so with that, I would actually like to make the motion to move approval, adopting a resolution to accept and appropriate the expenditure plan associated with the 2002 through 2025 California Violence and Prevention Program, also known as CalVIP, grant awardee in the amount of $6 million, and as read, so on and so forth in the agenda.
Second.
Second the motion.
Okay, motion by Johnson, second by
all of us.
So,
and Eduardo, I think the organization you wanted to mention was New Life Movement.
Okay, okay. I remember it as Phoenix Rising. So
I had a couple of comments before we vote on this. In the last 8 years since I've been mayor, our homicide rate has been it's been pretty steady. It's kind of been in the range of like 15 to 20 per year. And we haven't seen any clear trends. It's not it's not getting worse, but it's not getting any better. And I would like, and by the way, I'm a big fan of ONS and what they're doing. I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it's effective. But the one thing I haven't really seen is taking a look at how do we get that homicide rate down to something that's more normal for a U.S. city. I always said that if somebody asked me, you know, what is the most important thing that could be accomplished while you're mayor, and I've always said 1 year with 0 homicides, and it hasn't happened. And I'm kind of curious why we've plateaued. You know, if we're spending all this money on all these programs, why aren't we making progress? I mean, one answer to that would be, well, if we didn't have these programs, instead of having 15 to 20, we'd be having 30 to 40. Maybe that's true. I don't know. But the other concern I have is that, like a lot of our grants, the way they happen is the person or the organization writing the grant goes out and gets a collection of vendors, writes them into the grant, and then when we get the grant, you know, they're part of the team. And the problem with that is that we have a procurement public procurement ordinance in the city of Richmond that says that any vendors to the city they've either got to be brought in competitively, or we have to have a sole source justification. And we've got a handful of vendors here, and I haven't seen any sole source justification. And I haven't seen any indication that there was any competitive any competitiveness in the choice of them. I mean, the bottom line is that if you're part of the inner circle here in Richmond with the city staff and these programs, then you're going to get a big contract as a vendor. And if you're not a part of that, you're frozen out of it. So, and one remedy to that is, of course, to rewrite our ordinance that says that if it's a grant program, that it's exempt from the procurement ordinance. But we haven't. So on the surface, what we're doing is basically illegal. But you know, it's a good program, and I'm going to support it. I just want to bring these issues up because they're serious issues, and they reoccur, you know, almost on a monthly basis. Councilmember Jimenez, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I want to give Director Bong, so you can clarify about the data in terms of homicides and the data that you have from 2007 to now, so people can understand the work that you are doing and see the data. And then maybe Loshanda can clarify some, and ONS Director Bong also, about these comments that inner circle friends get the pie, which I just I don't agree with that, with what you are doing, but I just want to get you an opportunity to comment and respond to these comments made by the mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jimenez. And Mr. Mayor, you are correct in the fact that we have kind of plateaued, which is why these resources and the resources from Reimagining Public Safety were so so important because we were an organization that was designed to strictly deal with retaliation shootings amongst communities. And as these numbers have plateaued, those numbers have gone down drastically. And so the guidance of your 0 homicides for 1 year is what helped create the plan we're doing right now. We're able to engage demographics and communities that we did not have the capacity nor the resources to do. As Mark, Mr. Walsberg mentioned earlier, yes, there was a lot of African-American homicides and shootings in this community, but that just isn't the case anymore. Like almost 50% of the shootings to date this year are Hispanic, Latin community. And so now we have resources to be able to, engage them. And I'm sure everybody knows in 2007, when you'd have 43 homicides and 247 shootings with an injury. And to date, we have 15 homicides and 24 shootings with an injury. That is a very huge difference. And yes, we would like to get that down to 0 homicides and 0 shootings. But we're talking about domestic violence issues that no one can get involved in unless they're, they can see into the future. You'll have crimes that happen that go wrong, a drug deal that's gone wrong, a robbery that's gone wrong. And so you have to get deeper into shifting the culture to be able to engage those. What we have done very effectively is dealt with communities who felt like they just had a complete enemy that they wanted to destroy, and help them learn how to deal with that conflict better. So since 2007, and yes, like I say, these numbers we haven't gotten down to 6 or 5. I think 11 was the lowest amount of homicides we've had in a year since I've been here. But we're working diligently, and we believe that we can get to a 0 homicide. But when you have folks that come from Oakland, and you have other cities that'll come here and do things, in our community that's not even related to our community, we still deal with that trauma, and those numbers are still on our books.
Okay, thank you. I think we're ready for a vote, Madam Clerk, if you want to call.
No, one comment. I think there is the other comment that you made, that it will be good for maybe Loshanda was going to reply to that.
Yes. So the city, through finance department, they actually recently brought a policy before city council regarding grants, because we have internally been thinking about and wanting to make sure we are in alignment with the city's procurement process with regards to our partnerships and who we partner with and what that looks like. I was trying to locate it and I couldn't, but maybe later I will be able to send an email or ask finance if they're on call to share what that grant policy is. And so we really have been thoughtful about that. But I will say for ONS and the CalVIP grant, they are working with organizations that have proven track records, that are really rooted in Richmond community, are able to reply to grant requirements, respond to reporting, and have been really great partners and are able to do the work that we need them to do to benefit our Richmond residents. And so we definitely are not trying to in any way for any grant only work with certain organizations. We are working with those organizations within the city of Richmond who we know have shown themselves to be successful, but at the same time, we are working internally with finance and to make sure we have a proper policy on the books that we can adhere to that aligns with all of our rules and
Well, they've certainly been successful at getting grants. Okay,
partnership. Thank you.
Council Vice Mayor Martinez, you had something?
Yes, I just wanted a point of information. I want to let Councilmember Johnson know that it is New Life Movement, not Phoenix Rising. And the reason why it was Phoenix Rising to me is that the Rising Phoenix is their logo. I'm a visual.
Hey, Wardo, you could have called me with that. Go on, man.
No, well, I think the public needs to know that too.
Yeah, that's important information. Okay, let's call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bates? Councilmember Bates is absent. Councilmember Jimenez is
I am
absent.
recusing myself
Yes,
for
he's
this.
absent on this. Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember McLaughlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Willis?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez?
Yes.
And Mayor Butt.
Yes.
The motion passes for Councilmember Bates and Jimenez absent.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us, I think, to item U9B.
Yes.
Would you read that, please?
Item U9B is to appoint Humoja Akbar, Design Review Board, seat number 4, for term expired March 17, 2024, and David Plotkin, Design Review Board, seat number 5. His term expires March 17th in 2023.
Do we know who asked that these be pulled?
Yes, the public did, and it was Deborah Bayer.
Okay.
And I don't see her as asking to speak.
Well, I don't know why they were pulled. I think maybe we'll, do any council members have questions about this item? I don't see any. So do we have any public speakers?
No, we do not.
Well, I'm not sure why it got pulled. But I'll just tell you very briefly, there are two people involved here. One is Umoja S. Akbar, and he has a 5-year professional Bachelor of Architecture from Howard University, and he works as an architect for Tom Wilson Architects. And his reason for wanting to be appointed to help build a better Richmond with buildings, environments, and spaces that are aesthetically pleasing and functional for the entire community. And the other applicant is David Plotkin. And David has a Bachelor of Architecture from the University of Cincinnati. He works for William Duff Architects, and his reason for interest in appointment: as an architect with over 26 years in the building design and construction field, I would like to volunteer my time and experience to contribute to the positive growth of my home community of Richmond, California. With an emphasis in public and nonprofit work, I will provide value to the DRB in carefully balancing growth and equity for our diverse community. So I would like to move this item.
I'll second it. Pretty
Okay.
much because his name is Umoja, the first day of Kwanzaa meaning unity, and he's a Howard University Bison. And y'all know, as a proud Howard University alumni, you can't go wrong with a Bison, man. You see the White House got them one. We got to make sure we get us one.
Well, that's better than a banana slug, right? Okay.
I'm not going to come down on the banana slugs now.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Would you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
And we have one speaker now.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Call the speaker.
Okay, I have Deborah Bayer. Deborah, you'll have 2 minutes to speak. You can go ahead and start.
Hi, thank you. This is Deborah Bayer. And I just wanted to explain why I asked for that to be pulled, because it seemed like, you've been making a lot of, Mr. Mayor, you've been making a lot of appointments lately, and we are going to have a different council starting soon. So I thought, well, but with the reason I pulled it is I thought I would like to know who these people are. I think it's worthy of a little discussion before we just, put it on the consent calendar with really no knowledge of it. So thank you for explaining those two appointments. And I think that if I were voting, it would clarify my vote. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Are there any more speakers?
No.
Okay, let's vote.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
No.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
I'm voting no because I agree that we're at the end of a term here and we should wait until the new council gets on board.
Councilmember Willis,
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Martinez, Vice Mayor Martinez, how are you voting?
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was muted. No.
And Mayor Butt.
Yes.
The motion fails with council members Jimenez, McLaughlin, and Vice Mayor Martinez voting no, and Councilmember Willis abstaining.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret. We're not going to have a quorum for the design review board until the new mayor appoints some people. So that's an issue you're going to have to deal with. Okay, item U9A is a planning commission appointment. Would you read that, please?
U9A, U9B, U9E, sorry.
E, I'm sorry.
U9E.
I say, yeah, E.
Okay. U9E is to appoint Brevin Katri, Planning Commission, seat number 5. Term expires June 30th, 2024. And Deborah Bayer requested this item be removed also.
Okay, are there any questions from council members? I think for Ms. Bayer's benefit, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Bhavin Khatri is the occupations program manager. Reasons for interest in an appointment. I'm interested in ensuring responsible, sustainable, and equitable development in the city of Richmond. I currently work for the city and county of San Francisco. I can bring my experience and knowledge to the city of Richmond. Fraternal and/or civic organizations include Hilltop District Neighborhood Council President, former Design Review Board member, West Contra Costa Fire Safe Council Board member. So let's hear from the public speakers.
There's no public speakers.
Okay. So I'll move the item. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Let's call the roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bates,
Yes.
Councilmember Jimenez,
No.
Councilmember Johnson,
Yes.
Councilmember McLaughlin,
No, for the same reason. I think we need to wait for the new council.
Councilmember Willis,
Abstain.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Sorry, no.
and Mayor Butt.
Yes.
The motion fails with Councilmembers Jimenez, McLaughlin, and Vice Mayor Martinez voting no, and Councilmember Willis abstaining.
So we've got 2 months before the new mayor takes over, and you guys have already decided that that you're going to thwart these appointments. Do you remember what happened when Obama wanted to appoint somebody to the Supreme Court and Mitch McConnell said no? That's exactly what you guys are doing. I mean, this is really bad. You guys are really evil people. So with that, we're down to the last item, item X, report of officers. Are there any? I don't see any.
I'd like to make a report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
I want to congratulate the individuals that hosted the Music Legend Award this past Saturday. I don't think many people were aware of this award, which recognized Dorothy Combs Morrison, the legendary singer of Oh Happy Days and many other songs. The fact that she is, and her family has been, a resident of Richmond did not show too much respect for my community, for a legendary singer like this. I did happen to go and represent the city. But I would suggest that at some point next year, hopefully, that this lady be given the keys to the city. She's deserved it. She's an outstanding singer. And that song, Oh Happy Days, is universal. All over the world, kids are singing that song and others. So I just want to highlight, we have a legendary person right here in our own midst, and we ought to show a little bit more respect in recognizing her and her contribution, not only to Richmond, but to the universe. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, anything else? Councilmember Jimenez, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to end with that comment about Trump administration also wanted to make appointments to many judges. People were saying that it's better to wait for the new administration, for the Biden administration to take over. So it goes both ways. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Okay, anything else? Well, it's with great pleasure that I adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Y'all know how to keep it classy, Richmond. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.